What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is John. Today I have for you a big box good. That's right, today we're actually going to be talking about the iPhone 11 Pro Max 6 months later. I picked up at Best Buy for about $1,100. Today we're going to be doing a camera review to see just how good of photos it can take and how good I've gotten at taking photos and using some of the features on the camera after 6 months. As you guys know, the camera is pretty much the main selling point of the new iPhone 11 Pro Max, and it likely will be the selling point for the next iPhone 12 that's slated to come out sometime in October. Anyways, today we're just going to be doing like a camera review, and I'm going to show you my editing process and what I do to edit photos and just how they've come out so far on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. After 6 months, I've been working really hard trying to get better at photography, so I really tried pushing the boundaries of myself and the iPhone 11 Pro Max camera to give you guys a good idea of just how capable it really is. So here is a 6-month camera review of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I hope you guys enjoy.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? So today we're just going to be taking a look at some of the iPhone photos, or some of the photos that I've taken with my 11 Pro Max. I've had it for about 6 months now. It's been a fantastic phone. I just wanted to take you through the editing process here and what I do when I edit my photos. So most of them are edited already because I just can't help it sometimes, but I'll show you what I do. So, the iPhone 11 Pro Max really comes with some great features. It comes with 3 cameras. It comes with a 27mm standard camera, a 15mm wide angle, I believe, and it comes with a 50mm telephoto lens. And the telephoto lens, I have found, really comes in handy when I need to zoom in and get past a shadow. Like if I'm taking a photo with the sun to my back, which a lot of people do, you kind of want to get past your own shadow sometimes, and that 50mm lens really comes in handy. But I love taking photos with the iPhone. It's something that I think I use the 50mm lens here, for example, what's really cool is you can actually use it for panorama photos too. I think the iPhone camera comes with a lot of great photos, or it comes with a lot of great features. But anyways, a photo like this, it started off pretty much looking like this. It looks a little bit, this is the original photo right here. This is what the original photo looked like here. And this one's edited a little bit, so if you can actually see, I went up to the editor here, and if we scroll down to color, you can see that if we scroll down to the color mixer, you can see that I turned the saturation up 45 points and turned the luminance down to minus 24 points. And if I want, I can even go over here and crop this in. I'll auto crop it. It auto crops it to minus 1.60, and that's fine. Cropping is great if it doesn't cut off, important pieces of the photo. So like, the ground is cut off here, the foreground is cut off a little bit, the top of the building is cut off a little bit. What I really like is, the buildings are still in frame over here on the sides. The buildings flanking this building in the center here are still in frame, which is really nice, but for the sake of this photo, I'm actually going to keep it as shot. So we'll go ahead and reset that, and then we'll go ahead and reset the crop, and then we'll scroll down to aspect ratio here and click original and get our photo back. Recently, I actually found out this tool, which I really like. Of course, this tool isn't going to help me much with this photo because this is a landscape photo, but I really like that tool because you can sort of, crop in on something. Let me just give you an example of what you can crop in on. Maybe not. Let's just look at some other photos here. If I can find one that I can crop in on, then we'll check it out. But Here's another photo that I took that I really liked with panorama mode. Really, I love panorama mode because the wide angle lens on the camera just doesn't distort photos enough to give it this sort of fisheye look, which I like. I sort of prefer this fisheye look. I think it's a pretty artsy and cool look. Yeah, so I use panorama mode to get this look, and you actually don't have to use the entire panorama. You can use just like a quarter of it or half of it or 3/4 of it, whatever you want to do to get the shot that you want to make it look sort of rounded off like this. And let me show you an example of a photo that's sort of rounded off a little bit. Here's a picture of a parking garage. I've edited this big time. As you can see, I've cropped it in, and originally, there was some information over here like this truck that I didn't want in the picture, and there's a car over here to the left that I didn't want in the picture as well. So we'll just go ahead, and so I don't ruin that, we'll just go ahead and go back to detail, and I can turn it black and white, which is something that I normally do. I usually don't mess around with the color profiles a lot, but I do use auto settings a lot, except for this photo because it just looks a little bit dark. But I've turned the exposure up to 0.99, so almost one stop. Haven't done anything with contrast here, but as you can see, I just love messing around with the color mixer, and as you can tell, you really can bring out a lot of color with iPhone photos. Even though they're not RAW, they're JPEG, you can still bring out a lot of color. So as you can see, I really brought out the blue in the sky and the blue in these banners here and the blue in the parking garage just by going down to the color mixer and doing so. I've even turned on noise. I've even got noise reduction set and color noise reduction set to 100. It gives it this sort of pasty look, which I like. Some of you may not like that at all, and we can actually reset it here. But if you do reset it, you can see that it looks really bad. So let's go ahead and see what maybe 60 looks like for noise reduction. We'll go ahead and set that to 60, and it looks smoother. A lot smoother, which is good, but I think 100 is good on each there. So we don't need it sharpened, I don't think. Yeah, I think these photos look pretty good. Maybe we could add a little bit of texture here because as you can see, if you look at the pavers, in the street, they're a little bit smooth looking. So let's go ahead and give some more texture to the brick pavers in the road there. And as you can see, some of the texture sort of comes out in those brick pavers here, which I really like. Let's go ahead and turn the texture down just to see if that really does have an effect, and it does. So yeah, if we turn the texture up to about 60, let's go 50. It really does bring out the detail in the brick pavers, which I like. So just really love taking photos with my iPhone. You can really do a lot with them. I've brought out some more color here. I've really got sharpening turned up with this one. I've got noise reduction turned up with this one, and I've got color noise reduction turned up with this one pretty drastically. And as you can see here, saturation is up to 65 and luminance is at -47. This one is cropped as well. Originally there was a house over here to the right, which actually I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt. I would really like to have kept that house in the photo, but as you can see, if we go ahead and zoom out, it's just a little bit too far out of frame. So let's go ahead and bring this back, and it really brings the subject closer to the center point, and I think that's really important. It's before, as it was before, it was just a little bit too far away from the center point. So I really like the way that this looks, and of course we can go ahead and flip that over to black and white, which is something that I do often. I love black and white photos, and it just gives it a whole new look. This one I thought this one is unedited, so okay, good. We can unedit this one here. Let me take you through the process a little bit. So I've already cropped this one in. As you can see, it's cropped. I auto-cropped it. It's at -0.79 now. Really not missing a whole lot. in the frame. Otherwise, as you can see, it's pretty much everything is pretty much in frame from the original shot. So that's good. This is that same parking garage, by the way, just on the side of it. I thought that I would maybe see if I could get the whole parking garage in frame, and so I did another panorama shot, and it came out okay. It's not the most exciting photo, but just because I haven't edited this one yet, let's go ahead and see what we can do. So I'll come down to the color mixer here. You can switch between different colors. Let's start off with yellow and see if we can't bring out the yellow in that 2-hour parking per day in zip zone sign. So see if we can. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. As you can see here, we're messing around with that saturation, and if we take it all the way down to -100, it looks pretty gray. But if we bring it up to about 30, it looks pretty yellow, which I like. We can mess around with the hue and maybe give it a more orangish look, but I don't like it orange. I kind of want it more yellow. So maybe we'll go +20 on that. +22, that's fine. And then, to really give it that school bus yellow look, which I think it has a little bit of neon in it, we'll maybe bump up the luminance there. Oh, there we go. If we bump up the luminance to about 50, then we can get this desired sort of school bus yellow look, which I like. Let's also mess around and see if we can't edit some of that grass in a little bit. So let's mess around with the hue. I kind of want it to be green, so let's go ahead and keep it green. So I'm going to bump up the hue to 48. We're really going to saturate this. We'll go maybe 60, and then luminance, if we want to give it a more contrasty look, we'll take it down to -50 there, and I think that's okay. And yes, let's do the sky, because that will set everything off, I think. We'll go ahead and set the hue to -14 a little bit. That really didn't need too much. We'll go ahead and saturate the sky a little bit. It doesn't look like it's moving too much, so we'll go 80 on that. And then, because as you can tell, the parking garage is the main focus here, not really the sky. But if you go over to luminance, you can usually really bump up or make that saturation look, blue. So as you can see, it does look a little bit pasty again. But overall, I think the integrity of the photo is still there. But even then, we can still sharpen it up a little bit if you want to. And we can even, go in and add full noise reduction and just maybe just a little bit of texture again, just because it's still looking a little bit pasty. This is my style. This is how I like photos to look. I think they're kind of fun, these panorama shots, they're kind of fun. So I don't want to take it all too seriously. But let's take a look at some other non-panorama shots here. This one I really like. This was on a car trip, on a road trip. I actually took this from the back seat of the car. Really interesting performing arts building in a small rural town in Florida here. I did edit this photo, but because this one is not edited, we can go ahead and do that. So I did crop it. As you can see, I straightened it out a little bit. Actually, I think this one was already straight. No, it wasn't. So we'll go ahead and straighten that out and go back to detail here. And what we'll do is we'll go and click auto and see what that gives us. And it's looking a little bit dark. So let's see if we can go ahead and maybe mess around with the exposure a little bit, brighten it up a little bit. Maybe up the contrast a little bit. If you haven't, I actually prefer to work with even numbers, kind of random, but anyway. Let's go ahead and really mess around with that sky there. So we'll bump up the saturation a little bit, and there we go. We'll bring the luminance down to -42 there, and it really brings out the blue in the sky, which I really like. There's a lot of blue in this picture, so I don't think we really need to mess around with anything else. And we'll mess around with the grass there. We'll change the hue of it to make it look a little bit greener. Bump up the saturation to 46, so that's nice. And then we'll mess around with the luminance, and we'll go -24, because if we go further with the luminance, as you can see here, we're getting a little bit of green in the building there, and we get a little bit of green over the pavement there, which, as I'm saying that, I don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and just reset the luminance there. I think everything else looks pretty good. Not the best photo. I'll say that this is not the best photo right here. Not too crazy about it. Not a whole lot of light. This photo I also took from the back of the car. I really like it. This one is fully edited. By the way, if I do edit a photo, I'll usually duplicate it. So I'll go ahead and duplicate this photo and make it a black and white version. Yeah, not too shabby, not too shabby. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other photos we've got here. So this, also with the 11 Pro Max, I think this is 4x zoom. Yeah, really sharp photo, even at 4x zoom. This is at the local airport here. This is a Boeing 777-200. It looks like a private plane. It's Crystal Airlines, which is definitely a private charter company or something like that. And I just went on this walk a few mornings ago and, really found this really awesome perspective of these two buildings. So I just went ahead and snapped it. I was at the Lakes Park here in Fort Myers, Florida, just a few weeks ago, before we were on lockdown. As you can see, the iPhone takes just stunning photos. This is at 50 millimeters using the 50 millimeter camera, and it just looks fantastic. So I don't think I cropped this one in. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't crop it in. So as you can see, it was taken pretty straight on to begin with, so it only cropped it in plus 0.16 points, which is really nice, and definitely makes it look a little bit more straight and upright, which is always good. But let's go ahead and see what it looks like without black and white. The colors are just fantastic. This is also, by the way, I believe I set this to vivid before I imported it, so this is not a raw photo. This is actually a vivid photo, so you can actually go onto your settings on your iPhone and edit photos and set them to vivid or monotone or noir or whatever you want, and then import them if you want. So that's basically what I did here, but I just love this photo in black and white. I think that's a phenomenal shot. Let's see, what else do we have here? I love this picture of this frog. This is, again, using the 50 millimeter lens. As you can see, the depth of field is really, really sharp on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I was able to get really up close and personal with this little guy here. This is a tree frog, I'm guessing. I think it looks better in black and white, but actually this photo was originally here's a good example of being able to use that crop tool. So we can go ahead and crop in on him and really bring him to the forefront there. And as you can see, there's just so much detail that is in the photo. If we zoom in a little bit, you can just see how slimy he is, but we'll go ahead and set that back to black and white. Actually, let's go ahead and mess around with and see if we can maybe bring out the green in him. He's not that green, but yeah, we'll go ahead and reset this. I don't think that I like that at all. I prefer this black and white. So yeah, as you can see, just phenomenal detail with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Here's that Disney road trip. Again, just love the photos that the iPhone 11 Pro Max takes. Really, it just comes in it's just so handy. You don't have to carry around a big DSLR or a mirrorless camera like the Sony a7 III. You can just pop off shots and have fun with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Again, I took this from the back of the car. Here's another photo I like. This is Lake Alfred in Florida here. This is the Lake Alfred City Hall. I actually prefer this one in black and white as well. If you haven't noticed already, I do like my photos in black and white. And again, just another panorama shot here. This one I really like. This, I think, captures downtown Fort Myers, which is where I am from. I think it captures downtown Fort Myers pretty well. Just left pretty much everything in the shot here, and really messed around with the color swatches down here, and was able to bring out the blue in the sky. The iPhone camera is really good at that. I have no problems bringing out colors and adding a little bit of contrast. Again, I think this photo could benefit from a little bit of texture, because I think the brick pavers are looking a little bit pasty there. But anyway, let's go ahead and bump up clarity and see what that does. We can get a better light of some of those shadows. That's not too bad, but let's go ahead and reset that. Everything is pretty clear already. Anyways, guys, yeah, so that has been, the iPhone 11 Pro Max 11 or 6 months later, however long I've had this phone. I owe you guys a camera review, and I've been taking a lot of these photos here over the past couple of months, just trying to get some shots for you guys, and just demonstrating exactly what kind of photos you can take with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And the more you go out and take, this one kind of looks grungy. I like this one. This makes me think of Nirvana or something in the way. I don't know. Anyways, love these. I really like these photos, and I think the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a fantastic camera. You really cannot go wrong. Again, here's another panorama shot. This is another panorama shot, by the way, and I think this is a 50 mil shot. So, yeah, just love the iPhone 11 Pro Max camera. It takes phenomenal photos, as you can see here. Just the amount of contrast and detail, you just can't beat it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is John, and I'll see you in the next video.